October 15th, 2021. I'm in this symbolic, whatever we're calling it. I don't have a proper word for it or proper click for it at the moment. I'm still working within the holes and gaps in bilateral and unilateral with some phantom accounting. I'm star 1978, star 8378. I'm working within this calyx field for stability at the moment. What I did notice is if you think of time torsion and time dilation and you think of the installation of continents, and subsequence of events. If you look at this being North America, being unilateral, South America being the bilateral. So on the lateral vertical, you can see, well, I call it, I call this a vertices, a vertical. You can see there's continental drift of South America. Let's put this light on for a second. Simple measure tools. If I've got North America here, just below North America on the lines on the map, South America should be right here, if it was all still unilateral. But there's some bilateral shift showing of torsion. Torsion being a dual torque. One side, the bottom side's being pulled one way, the top side's being pulled the other way. That would also show the splitting of the skin within certain matrices and vortices. But the phantom accounting is where this was picked up, and this was talked about, and then for some reason I'm thrown back into this situation and punished brutally in more. I don't know why. So that's where the continental drift is between North America, South America torquing this way. If this was stable, they torqued a little bit to the right justification. RT is how they abbreviate right. That goes into ORT, ORT, for the one orb or orbital. And then you have RT, which is the right justification, which is how we explain the torque pulling of the continental drift of the bottom half of the orb out of alignment. That goes into this, which I have here as the Earth with this is the debris field. Within the debris field is the Oort cloud. And that's during the Great Rape. So there is phantom accounting. I just don't know how to access it or how to protect myself from those that can access it and have been arguing it and successfully doing whatever their whole careers, while I'm just sitting here waiting and being mentally and physically tortured, but physically tortured by the continental drift in the atmosphere, because this was not another human hitting me. This is another human hitting keyboards and the weather pattern changing, so that when I walk into a moment, the radio wave frequency hits my face in such a way that it's an unstable position, and the epidermis just, in its reaction, just splits, or it moves one way and then retrogrades the other way within such a fast calibration that it's hard to even, it looks like pixels and some grease. on like extra special equipment. In a poltergeist kind of a way. So that's that. Oh, and the other thing is, there was a TV ad campaign when I was little that was called, it was, I think Dr. McGruff or something like that. It was like, hey kids, take a bite out of crime. And it was like a bloodhound in a gray trench coat. And that was his key-op phrase, is take a bite out of crime. Oh, Officer McGruff, I think is what he called himself. Subsequently, same sequence of events, DMX says, stop, drop, open up shop. Great. Okay, so because fire department had an ad campaign when I was little, also subsequently, in same subsequence of this time frame, where they used to say, stop, drop, and roll. Like if you're set on fire, you stop what you're doing, you drop to the floor, and you put your arms together and you roll. That's what Emergency Management Services came up with as a TV ad campaign for whatever was going on. My local stop, drop, and roll company would be under the label, the alphabet symbols of FDNY. That's it. The Take a Bite Out of Crime and the Stop, Drop, and Roll were 1980s. So that was, I guess, around George Bush time, Reagan and George Bush time, for White House executive administrative sequencing of events with whatever administration, because I know like they have like administrators for like life or like whatever, I've heard. And then I'm located in New York, which is called the Big Apple. The Disney World tie-in is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So I don't know if that's like the planetary way of saying Snow White is like earthly, and then the seven dwarf planets of needs to circle around and work in conjunction, not only in phantom timing, but phantom accounting, but also because we've got continental drift and a solar flare that is really dangerous. And when Apple came out, they called themselves Macintosh at first. Macintosh. I think that was Steve Jobs and something Wazowski, whatever. And they had an apple with a bite taken out of it. That was their first attempt at getting computers to go viral. And that was also in the same administrative time of between Reagan and George Bush, the first one, senior. Because computers were not viral in North America at all. Especially in the state of New York, we had no computing whatsoever, not in the schools, not at home. It was not a thing in New York City. But after that time, it did go viral. But New York is considered the Big Apple. And Snow White had the apple with the poison put inside, that the witch put the poison inside, and then Snow White took the bite, right? That's indicative of the humanness taking the first bite of whatever. But these were kind of warnings before it happened to avoid them from ever coming to fruition. However, here we are. Now computers have gone viral, internet is viral, and now the booking, gambling, casino, and gaming, whatever, induction of commissions and like incentivizing this behavior is now viral. So now it's incredibly difficult. I mean, my village was not set up properly for a lifetime of successful employment, community, and stability to begin with. And then the enhancement of taking everything out of the community's hands and putting it on some unknown, like government of nobody knows, nobody can get a handle on it, of who's governing the internet, and then hoping that one is found, like a lost and found on the internet, is also incredibly dangerous, because then nobody knows who's leading and who's following. Star 1978, Star 8378, it's Earth, Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies, broken. I'm going to take this outside for 1 second to show on the corner, when I was first born, there used to be a plot of land with a blue ranch type house on it, which used to be the women's club. And it was an ethical, local organization for young girls to go to and have a social, but not have to go to the bars and things. At some point, that land was donated or bought or whatever, and they knocked down the club completely. All of its benefit was lost, and I don't know who benefited. The Planning and Development Department in New York City put up tenement housing and then sold off the buildings in increments. They made a one-time cash advance to themselves, but they ruined the neighborhood yet again. I'm going to take you past that in 1 second. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. So I'm leaving my residence, which is behind me. I have my umbrella because the sun is so brutally high. And I'm walking to where the women's club used to be, when this was a respectable, I mean, it's still a respectable neighborhood, but when at least there was some attempt at making a community for the Bayside residents. This is a co-op. It's not a single unit dwelling, as is the one across the street, which are beautifully built in old, like, I don't know, they say the words English Tudor or Dutch Tudor, whatever. But here's the walk from my residence. They were trying to buy these two houses as well at one point, but both of the owners wouldn't sell because they wanted to put something else up instead. But right there, this whole lot of housing, these are the original, well, kind of original, but next to the women's center. Across the street is this building, which are a bunch of apartments and co-ops. But across the street from that is where the women's center used to be, when there were almost like it was almost like a non-fancy country club, like gathering place, like in HOAs sometimes they have them. But there was no fee or anything for it at the time either. I mean, it was supposed to be some form of non-for-profit. But again, and that's at the corner of 43rd and 214th Place. But it's totally gone. Because instead, they built all of these ridiculous houses and took away all of the community possibility. I mean, there's houses across the street. There's Bell Plaza there. There's Verizon building here. I mean, it's just ridiculous how they've overdeveloped for housing this area, but there's no community meeting center, there's no town hall, there's no anything to promote unity of society at all. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. It's October 15th, 2021.